This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJAC 17:37. Adequate notice has been provided, and in the event there are any matters that will be discussed in closed session, we will advise what those matters are, and we will then explain the results in open session. Can you please call the roll?
Joe McCarty.
Here.
Alex Balaban.
Here.
Mary Christensen.
Here.
Joe DiOrio.
Here.
Laura Hahn. Here. Ann Hedby is not here. Lisa Miranda is not here. And Elizabeth Kirsten. Here.
Okay, we will please rise and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Happy New Year to everybody. Welcome back. And I'd also like to welcome our honorary member this evening.
Well, we've had young members before, so maybe she could replace Andrew.
Maybe she could.
She's very intelligent, actually. She's got a good head start.
Okay, before we go into the rest of the agenda, what I would like to do is get nominations for a new president, and then that person can take over the meeting once the president is elected. So do I hear any nominations for the position of president of the library board? Awkward silence.
How about Joe DiOrio?
How about not? Thank you, though, for consideration.
Is there anybody who would be interested in being president of the library board?
I'd be interested for 1 year.
Okay.
You realize you have to show up to these meetings.
Yes, yes, yes.
Every meeting.
And you
Yes.
realize if you don't, I'm going to be harassing you like you've never been harassed before.
Yes, I do.
Is there
Should we
anybody?
do temporarily in lieu in case?
Probation?
Yeah, probation.
Is there,
There's a provision in the bylaws, but
I'd have to read that.
is there anybody else who might be interested in becoming president? Do I hear
Liz?
any-
I can't. I got too much going on with 2 of them at home.
Do I hear any other nominations for
save
the
vice
position of
president.
president?
But I can't move. Laura, you don't want to do it again?
Laura's got it.
Okay.
Things on the phone.
Do I hear a second for Alex Balaban for president of the library board?
second.
Any questions or comments? Can you please call the roll, take the vote?
Joe McCarty.
Abstain.
Thanks.
Alex Balaban.
Do I have to vote?
Yes!
Yes.
That's what I did.
Oh, okay.
Mary Christensen.
Yes.
Joe DiOrio.
Yes.
Laura Hahn. Yes. Elizabeth Kirsten.
Yes.
Five aye votes. Congratulations, Mr. Balaban.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to point out, the same as last year, I didn't take a position on the administrative proceedings, and that's the same thing I did this year. I do fully support Alex Balaban in his position as president. So at this point, you can take over the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Joe.
Are we going to
Right.
do vice and all them, or no? Not until later?
We have, well, I'm gonna call for position of vice president and treasurer. So, do I hear any nominations for the position of vice president of the board at this time?
Can you run 2 years now? Can you
Oh.
be the same position 2 years ago?
Yes,
I have
absolutely.
no problem remaining vice president if that's okay with everybody.
Okay, that's fine.
Second.
Any other nominations for vice president? Okay, so nominations closed. So we'll take a roll call.
Joe McCarty.
Abstain.
Alex Balaban.
Yes.
Mary Christensen.
Yes.
Joe DiOrio.
Yes.
Laura Hahn. Yes. Elizabeth Kirsten.
Yes.
5 this
Okay,
year.
congratulations.
Thanks.
Now we'll put out the name for treasurer of the library board.
I nominate Joe Dury.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay.
Thank you for your vote of confidence.
Promote it next year.
Anybody
I
else?
think I left it back there. My apologies.
Nominations closed. Can you call roll call?
I'm leaving so Joe Accardi has to vote.
Oh. Wait, he
No, I
can't.
love my picture.
Are you coming back?
I vote yes.
He's such a busy guy.
Abstain.
Alex Ballard?
Yes.
Mary Christensen?
Yes.
Really all over the place tonight.
Laura Hunt?
Yes.
Elizabeth Kirsten?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we also have standing committees of the board as well. Madam Library Director, we have finance and we have personnel. And we also have strategic planning now. Did we actually add that as a standing committee or like an ad hoc committee?
It's a special committee.
Special committee, okay. Well, it's an ongoing project, right? So you're still head of the strategic planning committee. Okay, so Laura's in charge of that. Now for the finance committee, if anybody's interested, basically just email me for the finance and personnel.
Susan, who was it last year?
And we can take care of that.
It was you.
No, I know.
No, then you have numbers. Whoever's interested, just email me and then we'll
It was
set
me
it
and
up.
who else?
Andrew. Me. That was it. But this is important this year because we really should get something downtown.
Get
Like
something downtown.
plan, financial plan. We've stopped doing it because we only got the third of a mil, but this year, since we need more money, we really should make a new plan. So we really need to meet like next week, right?
That's right. The budget is supposed to be approved on March 1st.
So we should get it going.
So let me know what day.
So when do you want to start doing it?
When would you
Did
like
you start?
to do it?
No, when did- Madam Director?
I didn't start, no, because we never had to do it. But I have all the stuff, and I'll be working on it,
Okay.
this week and next week. And if, maybe we could do it next, I don't know, I'll email both of you and we'll set up a
Okay.
time.
The next budget meeting is February 1st. If you can get the paperwork in before that.
February
that
1st?
All right, if we could
That
get
makes it
something,
nice.
at least something down on paper. I'll work on it, and then I'll pass it by you guys.
Yeah,
And
I
then we
have a
could work
spreadsheet.
on the real big,
Yeah.
then we could get all together and work on it again. 'Cause
I have a spreadsheet from last year that I started and Andrew sort of continued. That's actually why I was back there with Michelle. We're trying to figure out where we left off, and it looks like we just have to roll over November and December. Some of the payments tonight will be December's payments. Roll that into it, and we can at least get a year-end balance with the 2011. So I'll work on closing out 2011, because that'll tell us how much surplus we needed to use in order to get by last year. If you can work on 12, then we'll get together.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we went out of order on the agenda, so the next item will be the approval of minutes of December 21st meeting. Does everybody have the minutes? Just look it over, see if there's any changes to be made.
Do you know if Ann is coming back?
I haven't spoken to her. The last time I spoke to her was after she initially got sick, and it sounded like she was still interested, so out of respect, I haven't renewed or asked her to resign.
She's a friend of the library, and I sent her a free email that I sent everybody else, and she never replied. So I don't think she's
Okay.
feeling well.
My
So
only-
everybody's okay with the minutes?
My only correction is just minor, but Mr. Urslinger is with an I instead of an E.
Oh, perfect.
You're welcome.
I believe I left the meeting early last month, so all I know about was up until the time I left, which I believe was about a half an hour into the meeting.
So we'll amend the minutes to reflect that the mayor had to leave at 7:30. It was actually, you know what, it was when Mark came in, I think it was when you guys were. So we'll just note that for the
So
record.
when I vote for it, I'm just voting for the initial part of the meeting.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to amend the minutes to include the correction that Laura suggested regarding the name typo and the inclusion of Mayor Carty's departure at 7:30. Be reflected in the minutes.
Actually, it is on page 2. It says Mayor Carty left 7:30 p.m. Top left from page 2.
You're just looking at that.
All the way at the top. It's there.
Ah. Continue from page 1.
The right is on.
All right, we could leave that there, but can we? Because I'm a little confused. Again, maybe it's just a style thing. The guests list Mark Haswell as arriving at 7:30. Can we include? I'd like to see it in the beginning, that's all. Maybe we could just say it again in the beginning.
Under
Now, absent Alex Balaban, Anna Heavy, Lisa Miranda, guest Mark Haswell arrived at 7:30. Something that, note Mayor departed at 7:30. So that when you see it initially, it's very clear.
Okay.
And then just keep what you have there, that's fine.
Which one of guys you need?
Can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second? One second. All right. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Yes, as amended.
Aye.
Okay. Now, the financial report and action on bills. Okay. No January bills came in yet, right, correct?
Well, they're in
No, some.
February.
Well, there was some January.
I mean, there
right?
are some, but most of the ones we do are February, you'll see in February. These are mostly December.
Actually, if you look at this list, well, Michelle, where are you? See how it's in the back.
Hi, Michelle.
This, not everyone has this, right?
No.
Just so that you know, on the Michelle provides with the checks and vouchers a list of it's a check register, a list of check, account number, made out to check number, and then she breaks out what's applicable to 2012 and 2011. So if you have any questions about any particular one, just ask. I can just quickly
Okay.
go through what's what. Approximately $4,468.88 is attributable to 2012. $3,537.76 is attributable to 2011. That's what, Michelle, the Wall Street Journal bill, or Susan, that's for a month, or is that an annual subscription?
That's for the year.
Yeah. K-News finally closed. So now we have to get our own subscriptions.
K-News?
They're the ones that used to be our distributor,
Right, I remember seeing
It was
that.
always
Pending,
pending.
Yeah.
always pending.
because they would never get in touch
They're out of
with us,
business.
but they're out of business.
I was
Because of us.
Put them out of business. Is it possible, to help with the budget process, to come up with a very simple list of what contracts, annual contracts we normally obligate ourselves to for a year, so we can see, because once we pay them, we're obligated obviously
Yeah.
for the year. If there's any changes, and normally the annual subscriptions and contracts are due within the first month normally,
Not
right?
necessarily.
All right, so if you could provide us with that and what's due during the year, this way we'll know that ahead of time. And
Because
then we can
more
decide if,
fixed cost on some of them, right?
right, or if we decide that for budgetary purposes, we don't want to renew those particular contracts, at least we know which ones they are,
Right.
how much they will impact us or save us. I think it might be easier. I know that question always comes up, why are we paying this? Well, it's an annual contract. So if we know that ahead of time, we might avoid
Yeah.
all that.
Okay, good.
You know, it's hard after 8 years to realize that.
I know.
Certain things are just fixed.
Right. And
Well, so
reoccurring.
annual, you're talking about PSE&G, JCP&L, the water bill. Most of our stuff here is stuff that we have to pay.
Right, but there's some things like
Elements
maintenance
based
agreements,
Yeah.
right, maintenance agreements, software agreements, it could be subscriptions.
Okay, but you don't want the
About
other
utilities.
stuff. Utilities, okay. All right, you could do that, it's easy.
Sure.
All right, do I hear a motion
Wait,
on
hold
the
on one second.
floor to pay the checks?
I just had one question.
Oh, sorry.
I know that the asterisks are there in the first page for the salaries to say check switched in error, but could you just explain that a little bit so I'm not misunderstanding?
Yes, the checks were taken out of sequence.
Okay.
We're not
Just-
mentioning who
You're
did
not
that.
mentioning any names.
That's fine, I just wanted to understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Michelle's biggest nightmare.
All right, can I have a motion to pay the bills for the
So
month?
moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Joel Cardy,
Yes.
Alex Balvin,
Yes.
Mary Christensen,
Yes.
Joe Diorio,
Yes.
Laura Hahn,
Yes.
Elizabeth Thurston.
Yes.
Thank you. Passed. All right, program or guest speaker. What I would like to do this year is to like permanently list Friends of the Library report. Like if they're here and, you know, in their honor for all that they do in conjunction with library activities. Just have them noted. And I know Mr. Urslinger is very active. Do you care to give like a little report? I mean,
Yeah, I have a
Oh,
couple
good.
of things to tell the board anyway.
Great.
I'll give a book report if you want.
Did we ever get our committees together, though?
The what?
The committees.
Yeah, well,
Finance is gonna be the three of us, but what about personnel?
People will email me, whoever wants to be, you know, we'll
Well,
decide by next
if I may,
time.
Mr. President, who was it, what were the committees last year? Because if there's interest with the same folks, we could just settle on that. No? You're shaking your head.
Well, no, I'm not shaking my head, I'm just thinking, I don't think we actually had it. I think Elizabeth was
I
the
was
only
on
one on the
building and
personnel.
grounds,
Oh,
yeah.
buildings and grounds.
Yeah, I wasn't
Okay.
in personnel.
I don't know, were you on personnel?
I
don't
think
there
I had
even
opted
was
out of
one.
it because I did strategic plan
I
stuff.
think Andrew was on personnel.
Mhm.
He was the only one.
And then,
that I remember.
I was on
Liz,
personnel with them.
would you like to serve as buildings and grounds?
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
personnel?
I could do personnel, but I'm not gonna do it by myself.
I'll do personnel with you.
All right, so she'll,
Just tell me what I have to do.
Well,
Right,
you
so-
don't really get called upon unless there's an issue.
Oh, okay.
Or if we were, let's say, in the real world, we were all gonna get raises or something. We would be there to
That doesn't even work in my world, but that's
initiate.
different.
Right.
We don't get raises in
No, in the real world, you don't get a raise.
Yes.
in the real world.
So, well, I mean, in the world, like 10 years
Like
ago.
reviews and stuff like that.
Yeah, we don't normally do that, but if there's any kind of personnel problem,
Sure, that's
your
absolutely
call.
not a problem.
I know a
do
couple
that at
years
work.
ago, we were gonna start working on a new personnel manual or something. Did we ever,
Well, ours is only 5 years old,
It is.
so I
Okay.
don't know.
all right.
I mean, we could, but
Right.
that,
Okay, so for the record, Liz, you're okay with that? Laura,
Absolutely.
you'll serve with her? All right, so we have two
And I could
people.
be building and grounds again too.
Okay, so for the
We don't have
record,
any money for it, but.
So Elizabeth and
so you're
Laura will
safe,
be
you
on
don't have to,
personnel,
you never have to come to a
and
meeting.
buildings and ground will be Elizabeth, and who else?
whoever else is interested.
Okay.
And then those folks that, God, we,
Defense
how
is
much
good.
you left.
Okay.
Get some donations for flowers or something.
We'll stretch the sport as much as
Oh,
possible.
yeah, like big rubber band.
All right, so program or guest speaker, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first thing is that the Friends of the Library voted the other day, and I told Kit, and she immediately went to the computer and started shopping, but we've donated $250 to the library for the use for buying new books for the Kindles. In other words, modern books, books that people like to read. So they range from anywhere from $9 to $15, and so that'll get them started quite a bit. It's not good to have something that somebody can look at and say, well, gee, I can read Jonas and the Whale, you know, wow, all right, if they really wanted it, but the new books that are coming out, we'll be purchasing on that. I did a little experiment at the the diner. Put a little can out there, donate to the Friends of the Library, because we're always looking for ways to make money so that we can do this. And we've been doing very well with donations. So you may see little cans springing up in the businesses that have cash registers. You know, put your change in. You would be surprised how fast that change adds up. So we're going to put them out a little bit.
That's a good idea.
Huh?
That's a good idea.
See how it works. That's it. You know, one at a time we'll go out. Tomorrow night, thanks to Mayor Carty, we're going to be allowed to present Paul Endler with a certificate of appreciation for his influence and his help with the Friends since we started. And we're going to be doing that. It's just before the council meeting starts, right? Isn't it, John?
No, I thought that we'd have them come up as part of the council meeting when we normally do the certificate.
You open the council meeting and then we do that.
That's first or second.
That's what I meant,
That's
the
right.
first thing,
That's
okay. As far as anything else is concerned, if the Board of Trustees comes up with anything that they think that the Friends can help with, please let us know. Email me, or tell a friend. We got one sitting over there in Kimberly. You can let her know anytime you want, and she'll bring it to the board. I think that's just about it.
Thank you.
Oh, one more thing. One more quick thing. We were discussing it before. One of the members came up with an idea of having, along with Kit, came up with an idea of painting the outside of the inside window right there just before you come in the door with the paints that they use for Halloween, doing the windows on Halloween that are washable. And we're going to see if we can get the school children that like to do art, one or two at a time, to come in here and make some kind of picture on the window. And then a month later we would take it down, and maybe one or two more would come in and change the picture to something else. Something library or education related. Because we'd like to help the library make the ante room out there a little bit more friendly. So that's another project that we have going.
Good.
Nice idea.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you for all your work. Madam Director, correspondence? Any correspondence?
Yes, actually, I have. I got a letter from Sarah, Summit Animal Rescue Association. As you know, we've been collecting animal food. We've already taken like two, right?
True. But
For the dogs. And we just, Sarah just picked up everything, Summit Animal Rescue Association picked up everything for the cats, and people are still bringing in food. And you all know we were on Channel 12, so that was pretty neat.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Did the Friends of the Linden Library ever send you anything?
No, but Sarah did. I'm going to read them.
Yeah, but the Friends of the Linden Library said they were going to send you an acknowledgement.
They didn't yet.
Okay.
But, Dear Susan, this is from Sarah. I wanted to send you a personal note to say thank you, your staff and your patrons, for all the wonderful items they put under your library Christmas tree to benefit our rescued cats and kittens that get help through our volunteer organization, Sarah Incorporated. We will surely make good use of the cat supplies, dry and canned food, litter, etc. that you donated to us. Your staff was very helpful and kind when I came by. Sorry that I missed seeing you. God bless you all, and many thanks again. Sincerely, Betty B. Brannis, Head of Rescue and Placement.
That's great.
Yeah, so that was nice.
Can I add anything to that?
What?
Can I add anything to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just one more thing, if I
That's
can. We delivered over 200 pounds of, Sarah takes cats mainly. I don't think they have any dogs, and they place them at that homes.
Foster home.
Foster home. Friends of the Linden Library have dogs and cats, and gave them over 200 pounds of dog and cat food, you know, that was underneath the tree, that was donated.
Sorry. She confused me.
And I want to say that at the last, when I was at the council meeting, the reconstruction or organization.
Start soon.
Isn't that after the Civil War?
If only.
Anyway, he said that if anybody had large bags, like 100-pound bags of food, he would pick them up and personally bring them to the animal shelter.
Who?
Hokinson.
Okay.
That's what he said to me.
Is there really such a thing as 100-pound bag?
Oh, I don't, yes.
100
Yeah,
pounds?
I mean, if you have a big dog, like me.
Yeah, they
You
they
buy
have them
those.
at PetSmart,
Yeah.
they're used bags.
They eat a lot.
Italian mastic or something.
Mm-hmm.
How do we
Correct.
pin that?
All your stuff.
Okay.
Somebody in Cherry Street has an Italian mastic.
Just so I have everybody's.
You have munchkins.
Yes.
So that's that.
I love nature.
Very nice.
Our next project will be the Million Pillowcase Project. Nationally, there's a national organization that's trying to get 1 million pillowcases made and given out to shelters, cancer, to different hospital wings for children, and other places. So at the end of the month, we're going to have a
Pillow fight.
pillow fight and a pillow, we're going to have a class on how to make these pillowcases. And then hopefully we're going to try and get 100 made.
So what do they use them for?
Pillowcases. For pillows. I'll show
Oh,
you.
yeah, I guess you could assume that that would be the case. But you would think with medical conditions they would be sensitive to that, or are these folks who maybe...
Oh, like shelters and stuff.
Okay. No, because I remember, and Laura remembers this too, when we wanted to donate stuffed animals to the children's hospital.
Yeah, they
They
wouldn't
would
let
take
you.
them.
Yeah.
They would-
Well, they give us folks, the little kids that have
Um,
serious illnesses.
battered women's shelters, all kinds of places where there's children, and they want to make 1 million pillowcase challenge, and we've made some already, so like this. So the kids have a pillowcase, and they can even put stuff in it. And these are super simple to make. So this is what we're making. This is our next project for charity project. If anybody's interested. Or if anybody wants to donate 100% cotton, brand new fabric,
Okay.
that's good too. We got a lot of donations for that.
So would you donate pillowcases too, like already made?
Yeah, they're made just like that.
No, I mean, you're going to sew them together, but do you want them, like if I go to Target and buy a bunch?
No, they have to be made.
No.
That's the whole idea of it.
Just easier.
No.
If it has a tag in it, you know that he bought it.
Why can't
I
they
can tell the difference.
Why can't they just make sew something on the top of it?
No, it has to be made. It's the whole idea of people making it for, just like we made the quilts for Joplin.
Right, yeah.
We could have bought quilts and sent them, but it's not the same. It shows your
Participation.
yeah, and that you care about people.
All right, that was your director's report as well?
No.
Okay. All right. President's report, no report at this time. Children's Department report.
Oh, let's see. Well, I don't have to go over. These are all the statistics. And I know that Councilwoman Torres wants to know all our statistics for everything. So I have our New Jersey Public Library survey from last year, which has every single thing that we do in here, and all the numbers and all the participations. Do you want to give this to her, or do you want me to give it to her tomorrow?
Give it to her tomorrow.
Me?
Yes.
Gladly. The Children's Department report. Like I said, all of our chess club has been getting more. Look at 35 kids so far, and we start again next week. Our Lego club. Thank you to Mayor Accardi. He's been extremely generous with helping the Lego Club. And old Mayor Joe brought some Legos.
Old Mayor Joe had a farm.
Pillowcases with tags.
I'm not taking any pillowcases from Bill. Unless you come and make them.
Oh, yeah.
Why
Maybe
don't you
all
learn how to
cooking.
sew?
Kenny was
It's
so
not hard.
important.
It's not that hard to sew a straight seam.
Really?
Joe, you're turning red.
No, there was a joke ready to come out by myself.
You can see our statistics are a little down, especially like in the math club and the homework buddy, because of, it was December, so a lot of kids were
On vacation.
But even so, look at the homework, the math club, there were 25 kids. So, that's pretty good. Our circulation is down, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we have no new books. People come in all the time complaining about that we have no new books, and we really have to start buying some books. So that's the children's report.
Thank you.
On to the adult.
Director's report.
Yeah, you could see our total circ 2010, it was 2790. 2011, 2199. We issued 41 new cards. I've cut 24 hours on the part-time payroll, which you'll start seeing on the second payroll of December. Although this payroll is going to be high because of all the holidays and some of the buyback, the personal days and that kind of thing. I have a list of holidays that were in your packet that I'd like to get approved so that we have to pull LMXC to get these, so that the due dates are all okay. So I need this today if it's possible.
Are these holidays?
Borough holidays as well.
Yeah.
They're the same as the borough except for when we have Saturday. Like we're open on a Saturday, so like for instance Easter, we're going to close Friday and we'll close Saturday.
We will
Also.
close Saturday, okay.
Well, if you okay, that's what we did last year. This way the whole weekend we're just closed.
Just another quick question. Which employees are eligible for paid holidays without looking?
Well, it's the ones that work that day.
So if I'm a part-time employee that's scheduled to work on a day that's a holiday, do I get paid?
Yeah.
All right. Personally, I'd like to review that because I don't know, full-time employees I can see getting paid for a holiday, but I guess how would you determine whether someone was part-time that would be eligible for a payment?
Well,
They
because
work over so many hours per week.
well, no, we make up a schedule, and this is their schedule. Like, let's say Bertha works 2 hours on Monday night. Well, Monday night we're closed. She gets paid 2 hours.
Okay.
So we have an exact schedule. It's not like
Yeah, I think that there's some inherent unfairness in that because holidays tend to be on Mondays or Fridays on some occasions. The only time you get midweek holidays like July 4th this year falls on Wednesday
Thanksgiving.
and Thanksgiving on Thursday. But they're the only two holidays that tend to,
Well, Election Day.
it's always a Tuesday.
Yeah.
I have a concern over that. Just, I'll just put it out there. Just in general, nothing personal, but it's just, it's not that it's unheard of, but it's not common for part-time hourlies to have paid holidays. Rather, they would work and get paid for the days that they're here, or anywhere. I mean, in any environment, for the most part.
I took a note before Joe mentioned anything. I wrote down buyback and holidays because those are the two things that you mentioned. And I was going to talk to you about it offline, so maybe that's what we need to do is figure out what the policy actually is because I don't think that's borough policy.
Yeah,
The
buyback
buybacks
for
are.
personnel, for
Yeah.
personal days. That's
Yeah,
what we go
buybacks
by,
are.
and that's just for
Yeah.
the full-timers.
For the full-timers, okay.
Yeah.
For the full-timers.
Right.
So the
And
full-time.
usually paid the following year, so anything that was accrued in 2011,
Right.
eligible to buy back for this year.
Right, some
Under-
of your sick time
or
and some of
full-
your
Full-timers, not
personnel.
part-timers.
No, not part-timers, just full-timers, so it'd just be the four of us.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay, we'll talk about the holidays later.
All right, can we just approve the
Oh, I didn't finish.
holiday schedule?
Oh, the holiday, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say if we could just approve the holiday schedule for now, that would help. Can I have a motion just
So
to,
moved.
Second.
everybody say aye or?
Yep.
Aye.
Ready?
I'm good.
Thank you. Okay, Susan, so you got your schedule.
Okay, great, thank you.
Sorry, Jeff.
Just a few things. I know Laura's been working really hard on the strategic report. She's like a little trooper. She's been doing such a great job. One of the things we're going to have to start thinking about is our new computers. And eventually these computers are going to get, old, and we're going to need new ones. So that's something that I'm sure you have on the strategic plan. All our after-school programs have been very successful, the chess, the Lego. Kit and I attended the rally in Elizabeth, saved the post office. Anthony is still continuing with the English-speaking classes. I'm going to do an after-school crochet club for ages 8 and up. And if you noticed in your packet, you received this. Mrs. Ellen did a really nice job on the brochure this year, this season, for all the programs that we have at the library.
Good.
And most of them we do free of charge. I mean, free. We don't hire anybody to do any of this. So it's all the staff helping out to do all this. We had a wonderful program last, was it Thursday night? Thursday night. We had a woman who was adopted, and she was going to try to find her adopted parents, and she had a wonderful PowerPoint on all the steps she took to try and find her family. And it turned out some of them were like right next door, just about next town, and it was really, really fascinating. So, and she was free. Let's see. We had the Bellefonte Diamond Mystery. We postponed it, and we're going to reschedule for a later date. We're not sure. The friends purchased the 2 Kindles. The good thing about the Kindles, and that you neglected to mention, was that with that $150, it's like $300. Because if we get a book for 1 Kindle, we can get it it automatically goes onto the other Kindle. So both Kindles will have the same book for the same price.
And how's that been going with Kindle?
Well, we haven't done anything yet, because we're still trying to figure out how to work and download everything, and then try and get the patrons to do it. It's a process, but hopefully soon we'll have.
We're going to lend them out or just for use?
No,
in the
lend them
li-
out.
Yeah, last meeting you brought on the show, so it was really nice.
It's a 2-week lend.
And just a reminder, the Friends of the Library meet the second Tuesday of every month at 5 o'clock. And just a little public service announcement from the library. It's very important for board members to attend these meetings. The New Jersey State Library states anybody who misses 4 meetings in a row, and that's in the statutes, shouldn't be on the board anymore. So I would just like to stress to everybody that, please try and come to the meetings, because we really want to make this library a total, real success and move forward. And we can't unless you're all here. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. All right, report of superintendent of schools.
Okay. I am very pleased to share this new program.
Thank you.
I may ask you to share. The high school will be starting next
Prep school.
year.
Thanks.
Share. And Susan, maybe I'll ask you to post it.
Yeah, sure.
The high school's planning to implement a new high honors program for select students next year. It's called the Science and Technology Preparatory preparatory institute at the Roselle Park High School. Some of the highlights are going to include small class sizes, 16 to 18 selected students that would study together with an advanced curriculum focusing on math, science, and technology. There will be an application process that will be required. Each student will receive their own personal computer. Students will have a full schedule including 2 honors math classes, an intro class to robotics, and an engineering class, architecture class, honors history, which would lead them to AP history as a 10th grader, honors physics, English honors, a world language, gym, and additional electives, and that's just as a 9th grader, that would be their schedule. The students enrolled in the program will be invited to attend multiple college open houses as an entire class. They'll participate in an internship in their senior year, and they will be able to dual enroll in college classes their senior year for a jump start on their college career. And there's going to be an open house held at the high school on the 26th. So this brochure, pretty much outlines everything, and we'd just like to get the word out there to incoming freshmen.
It's nicely
that-
done.
Yes, yes. To, certainly come to the open house. And that's, hopes that we can keep those higher achieving students and, right within their neighborhood school.
How many classes? Or just one?
They're looking at
class?
one class
One class.
right now.
If this works, is there a plan to expand to other areas other than science and technology?
I'm sure they'll see how successful it is. When we look at the magnet school, they kind of started out with the science and tech program, and then maybe, they can move into arts or health or.
I mean, this is a way to keep those kids in our school district.
Exactly.
How will that's a good point, how will that work with the magnet school relationship? Does that mean that the students that would be interested in this wouldn't have to
No, they could.
still go to magnet? Or how
Well,
does that work?
we're hoping that this would
To
attract them and
prevent-
keep them,
to prevent-
in the Roselle Park schools.
All right.
Do they still have the option of applying to the magnet school? Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Do you have different teachers for this program or the same?
Different teachers depending on the subject matter. Mhm.
Sounds great.
I think that the robotics and the engineering class is a real catch.
Now, is this in any other schools, or is this just like a program you just started?
No, I think Sarah and her staff,
That's
saw a
great.
need and tried to address it.
That's really nice.
So,
Okay,
yes,
yeah,
it's
definitely
very
post
exciting.
it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, report of liaison for mayor and council. No report.
First, I want to welcome everybody and thank you all for coming back to the library board. The only issue that we need to talk about is we recognize that the budget for next year, based on the statutory requirements, is another $25,000 to $30,000 lower than what it was this year. And based on the way the budget went this year, we recognize that that's probably not doable. So we've asked Ms. Callantone to come up with a budget proposal, which is what we were talking about before. February 1st is our next budget meeting. Hopefully at that point, we can start talking to the library and figuring out what an appropriate budget is for the library for next year. Because I don't see it happening with the requirements that we have and the statutorily mandated amounts that the library was to receive.
Thank you. Reports of officers and standing committees. Well, this time we're not going to have a report of special
Actually,
committee.
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
The state library had submitted, and I only know this because of my work, the state library grant application. I don't know if maybe you got an inside track on what's happening. They were just sent that to CFO, so Ken just received this today or yesterday. So,
Yeah, he gets that for this one. You're talking about this?
yeah.
This and yeah. When I do my state report, he has to fill out the other
Right,
part.
his part, right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you maybe heard it's being considered, if anything.
I know. They're going to try and reinstate. They're
Mhm.
going to try and get 100% reinstated again.
Okay.
But so far, nothing. And the the state librarian is retiring in June,
Mhm.
Norma Blake, so I don't know what's gonna happen there.
What was the amount that we got last year? Was it 6,000?
Um,
I forget.
It's
off
on
top
the
of my
bottom,
head.
it's 6,000 something,
6,128.
but we used to get 13 something.
Right, that was cut in half. And, there, I guess.
6,000.
612.
6,000?
Thank you.
Went to, yeah, it's on the bottom of it.
Thanks. Okay. I guess if you hear anything through the.
Oh, you guys will be the first to know. Hey, if we could get a whole 13,000 again, that'd be great. We're also waiting, I keep calling the law firm, because we had a patron who is deceased, and he left money to the library.
Mhm.
So every 6 months I call the law firm to see what's happening, and, you know, there's always problems with past taxes and this and that and the other thing. So I have a message into her today, a couple of days ago, and I haven't heard back.
But
How much
what's
money?
the firm?
And we don't know. I said to her, I just, you know, want to know like a ballpark figure, so I know if we could, you know, do something.
Right.
What's the firm?
Yeah.
I don't remember the name. I mean, they're a big
Local?
firm
Wow.
in like Newark. Do you want to get the thing?
Mhm. It was a percentage, I think, of the estate. It wasn't a dollar.
Oh, boy. Okay. You know what they're doing right
As
now.
every year
Yeah.
goes by.
They're watering that thing out of attorney fees. Boom, boom, boom.
But he had no relatives to speak of or anything. And he also left money to
State
the
gets
fire
their portion.
department.
Huh?
The state gets their
Yeah.
cut.
Oh, yeah.
They said he owed a lot of past taxes, which they always say.
Of course.
As long as we don't get a bill.
So, but it would be interesting to know, because he was a very good, you know, patron, and he really loved the library. And there's so many things we could do with some little extra money.
Sure. Sure. How long ago?
3 years.
3 years?
Leave it
And
to
that is-
attorneys to drag it out.
Of course. That's exactly what they're doing.
That's a problem.
3 years?
Wow.
Yeah, but the
It
state's-
could be 4 at this point. I don't remember exactly. But it's been a long time. I call her, well, every 6 months. You know, she said, "Oh, I was just thinking of you."
Yeah, I'm sure.
How can we cut
Right.
it down?
6 months, she's calling again. So I'm hoping it's substantial, like at least like $10,000, so we can maybe do the new computers. You
Yeah.
know, like we did. That's how we bought these. Was with so.
Just trying to think what situation.
What year- what-
Unless they're trying to sell property, and
3 years is a long time for the state to
it's a
be
very long time, but unless you have an asset that they can't liquidate.
What's the attorney?
And they have no.
And then-
Carter in English?
Carter in
Oh, I
English.
heard of
Pardon
it.
English?
Oh, for crying out loud, you get forever.
Who's the attorney there?
It was December 2009.
Well, it's not an actual attorney. It's the what do you call it?
Paralegal?
Paralegal who's doing it. Her name is.
Did someone sign the document? Is there like an
Everything is
attorney-
all,
Everything's signed.
yeah, everything is ready. We're just waiting on them.
Well,
But
what
is
happened
an
was-
attorney name like sign? Like I know you deal with a
them?
paralegal.
That's what you gotta get to, it's attorney.
I initially called because I thought maybe I accidentally threw something out that they sent. Because sometimes you always get that
Oh, yeah.
junk mail
Junk
and you
mail,
just
right.
rip it up.
Mhm.
And she said, "Oh no, we didn't send you anything."
It doesn't say.
Yeah.
There's a Kirsten McKay.
That's the one I keep talking to,
Okay.
Kirsten McKay.
And then the executor,
David.
Ludgin, Ludgin. It was CC to
What year was that though?
December 2009.
So 2 years.
More than 2 years. Do you
Maybe
know-
time
do you
to
have
send
any
them a certified letter.
relationships with-
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Well, but do they have to give us anything?
Do you have to give us everything?
Anything.
Well, if the
Have to
estate
give
says so,
something.
yes. I mean, they're legally bound by whatever the estate says.
Unless every bit of their money went to taxes or something.
And we're just one of many. There's a
Yeah.
whole
Can I s-
Listed. right?
list.
Curious. Just curious on how the roll reads. Oh, yeah, hit survivors, some of the things.
You know
Well,
what,
but,
here's-
yeah, like
Unless they're all
nephews.
dead.
Here's the whole list of the beneficiaries. There's a lot.
There's a lot in Roselle Park.
I'm surprised we kicked that one.
Not you, though.
Yeah.
That's where you're looking at. Old Mayor Joe.
Am I on the list?
Yeah, you ain't on with
Mayor
I
it.
just put that it says Mayor Joe, I just put
Wow, there's a lot of people on this list.
That's what I'm saying, it's probably,
see a
but
pen.
he looks like the type of person, you know, who was always with the stocks and always, you know, so, who knows, he could have left a fortune, you never know.
You know what, the first aid squad is listed, Joe. Might be interesting to see if they were able to get anywhere with them too.
Okay. should we move on?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'll just,
Okay.
this stuff kind of interesting.
I'm just looking to see if
Well, you
there's
get to the law
something.
school.
Reports of special committees. Laura, you want to report on the strategic plan?
Yes, actually, everyone should have gotten a copy of it, and if the audience wants, there are a few more copies of it here. This is an extremely rough draft. I reported last meeting that I wanted to have it done by this one. However, there is still a matter of people not responding to interview questions that I had or phone calls that I had made, specifically neighboring libraries or comparable ones to ours. And I think that's really important in order to finish the research. But for right now, this is what I have. And this is definitely going to be tweaked. I don't want it to just be my strategic plan. I want other people looking at it and offering suggestions and corrections. So Councilwoman Torres had offered to help. And I also have, who else? One of our staff members said that they would be willing to look it over. I think it was either Debbie or Kit, but when I was talking with them, trying to get an idea of what they wanted to put in here as well, I had said that I wanted more eyes, and they volunteered. So I want to try and put that committee together so we can all meet at once and go over it and just get it done with. Again, I don't want it just to be done with, but I want to make sure that I do it right, which is why it's still a rough draft. But I did want to come here with something today. And just to go over it a little bit, I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I'd like to at least go through some of the bullet points, and I apologize if it seems like I'm insulting your intelligence. I'm not. But for the sake of our audience and for the people that might be watching the taped version, and if anybody has questions now, I'll take those so I can kind of understand where I was, or so I can explain where I was going with this. So a vision, I'm not really liking the one I have there too much. That's just something that didn't seem too lame or cliche. Small library, big ideas. The mission is really more of what I worked on, and the mission is to kind of drive the entire strategic plan and what our library is doing. So I have here: the library will provide a welcoming environment that offers educational and career resources to enrich the lives of everyone in the community while being fiscally responsible and evolving with the times. I think that encapsulates everything that I put in the strategic plan, dealing with providing those educational resources, being a center where people who are still looking for jobs can come to use our computers and other resources that we have. I know we do workshops that help with that as well. And also maintaining our budget and keeping up with the technology. The goals that I have here, providing patrons with the resources they need and want, that kind of ties into how we haven't been able to pay for books that we need, and any other resources that patrons might want or need. Especially talking with some of the staff members, they said that it's been, and as you said, Susan, that circulation's been down a little bit because people aren't able to get the books that they want because we can't provide it for them. So I feel like the budget definitely ties in with a lot of these, because it's a matter of budgeting for the certain things that we can pay, the certain things that we definitely do need, a matter of prioritizing. It was brought to my attention that some people may not visit the library because either there's a conflict in their work schedule, or just the library is not open with the hours that we offer. And I know that we've changed that up in the past, but I'm wondering if we can maybe do that again. And I know that we're still struggling with trying to keep the library open at certain hours, but also pay our employees to work here those hours. And in addition to that, somebody had mentioned maybe changing up the look of the library a little bit, in addition to, Paul, I believe you said, making the foyer, I'll call it, the doors over there just more welcoming and comfortable. But also like the environment here. I know we have a lot of people that might just want to sit and read for a little bit, and we have that little couch area over there. But maybe bringing the children's library or children's room section over here, so that, and there were more concerns about children walking through to get to downstairs and passing either inappropriate material, or still, apparently there are still people using websites that people don't feel are appropriate. I don't know what those specific ones are, and I don't know if they were talking about past experiences, and maybe it's not something that's new, but I think that's still something to be looked at. Maybe just change it up a little bit, because I know that the setup and the layout has stayed the same for so many years. So maybe in attracting more people to the library, that might be something that plays a factor. Another goal would be reach out to all members of the community. That also ties into it. And I thought of maybe putting together a committee to do like a marketing or a branding plan. And it doesn't have to cost money. It can just be a matter of putting our heads together and thinking of other ways to reach out to the community. Or maybe thinking of a slogan and then kind of spreading the word of what that slogan might be. What else? Utilize the borough's access channel more. I know we were doing that in the past. I know we still kind of do it, but even more so, because I realized that more people watch Channel 32 and 34 than I imagined. So I thought that that was great, and that they actually would get a lot more out of it too. We were talking before about how we need more involved Board of Trustees, and I agree, as well as I think that the employees, the Friends of the Library and the Board of Trustees are all in this together for the same cause, for the patrons. And I think that there needs to be a good relationship, working relationship with all of those entities, including the patrons. So if there's a way that we can get all of those people to kind of meet and work together and get to know each other a little bit more. When I was doing some of my interviews, the staff had said that they love interacting with the people, and that they actually have relationships with the people where it's, hi, how was your day, or how was your holiday? I know that your so-and-so was sick in the hospital, how are they doing? And the patrons really appreciate that, and I got that from the interviews that I did. So if we can do more of that by having patrons, and even non-patrons or people that don't necessarily use the library, get to know people that are more acclimated with it. Another goal is be financially responsible in tough economic times while still providing adequate services. That goes back to providing a balanced budget, staying within the budget so that we don't have to roll over the funds, and also purchasing things that are absolutely necessary, and we might have to cut back on some events or programs that we don't necessarily have to do. And I know that it's a great way to get more people into the library, but in a matter of speaking with our financial constraints, it might not be feasible. And lastly, be recognized as a contributor to academic achievement. This is one of the things that we talked about at the conference that I went on, and they encouraged us to include this in our strategic plan, as well as the financial one that I just went over. We talked about, obviously the schools have a purpose, but we can work with the schools to kind of fill the gap in the programming and the curriculum that also cannot be provided because of budgetary cuts and whatnot. And also providing those learning skills for kids that come to our story times, or the moms or dads that stay at home with their kids to raise them. Sometimes, I know my dad did this when my sister was growing up, brought her into the library just to get her acclimated and just to give her something to do and to socialize with other people. And that was before school started, so that's another way that we can help out with that. We're finding nowadays, especially with all the research that I did and the interviews, that the the students are entering school and not being prepared for school itself, even at the early age. So I'm thinking that maybe the library can help with that somehow, and provide things that the school cannot. And again, it's also a matter of working together. And last time I had talked about partnerships within the community. So if we can do, and that's another way of reaching out to the community as well as getting our names out there and getting other people's names out there. I think I had gave an example of having some type of fair or a meet and greet with different entities in the town, like the first aid squad, the fire department, police department, all types of governing bodies like the council, board of ed, and even our board. Meeting each other, knowing what each other does and how they function in the town, and also inviting the public to see what each group does, who's in charge of what, who's involved with what, and what services they offer. Because some people don't know what those are, and that we even provide those services. So it's a matter of just staying within the town, inter-shared services, as I guess I'll call it, so that we're working with each other and being fiscally responsible. Again, this is something that I'd like to still work on with people because it does still seem one-sided, and I don't want it to be that at all. So if there's any member of the public in the audience right now that would like to help, I'd really appreciate that. If anybody on the board has questions now, I can take those.
Yeah, just a quick question. First of all, thanks for all the work that you've done on this. You're relentless with this project, and I have to give you credit for that, even though I haven't responded yet. But you haven't given up, so that's good. Susan, do we have a list of, or email list, or contact list of other library directors? Like, for example, I have a list of CFOs that I can, at any point in time, I can blast the question, and they usually respond. If we were able, as part of the strategic plan, come up with couple of questions, maybe no more than 5 questions. For example, do you have any innovative programs that raise funds for your library? Paid for programs that the library would, earn additional funding.
We'll come up with the questions, and then I'm part of a listserv. I'll just send the questions out.
Great. That would be even better, because what I did originally was just based on the census for our town and for a couple neighboring towns. I looked at towns and libraries that were comparable to ours, and tried reaching out to those. Not all of them responded, so that's why it's a little incomplete still, but that's something that I had looked at to see if I can add more to it and get an idea of what we could be doing differently, or what we do that we can offer to those libraries. But I thank you for that suggestion.
Okay. The other idea was sort of an alumni club. Very informal, very simple, but again, looking at the money part of it. Being on Facebook, you see these folks that are down in Florida, that were originally from Roselle Park, were part of the high school, the school system, were in town for a gazillion years, and they moved out for whatever reason. I'm a member of a board of directors for advisory board for the Guadalupe School. What they did was they were able to get the alumni from the old St. Anthony's School and St. Mary's to help raise money for the group, but they moved out of town, so they didn't stay connected. I was wondering if maybe that's one idea. We could sort of reconnect people that may have lived in town, maybe have prospered by participating in the library, but they just don't live here, so they don't use it, and they may be willing to donate or participate.
Well, that would have to be somebody who probably would know people from Roselle Park.
That's
not something I would do.
No, there's this thing on,
but
there's 2 sites on Facebook that I see constant chatter, and these folks are from, and most of them are out of state. And what the Guadalupe School did in Elizabeth was use a similar format. They used, actually Facebook, they gave the responsibility to some local alums to reach out. And they were successful in raising about $30,000 just because people remembered. Oh yeah, I was at the school. Oh yeah, I remember St. Anthony's. Oh yeah, some of them became very successful.
Well, some towns actually, like when I was in the director in Mendham, we every year did a drive, and we'd write up a nice little letter and we'd send it out to every single person in Mendham, and you know, it worked pretty good. I mean, I don't know if we ever made 30,000, but
Right,
people participated.
right.
Some $25, $50. But I don't know. I don't know if you know, I think that it's a lot of work,
Oh, there's work involved, no question.
especially sending out a letter to everybody. So.
Yeah, this would be more,
Well,
try
then
and do everything
that would be-
electronically.
That would be nice for you to do.
It would be nice for me to do.
Yeah, okay, we'll put you down for that.
But then what would you do?
I don't know anybody in Roselle Park. So for me to say I'm going to reach out to people that I went to school with is silly.
What,
But
what
you
else?
went to school here. You were mayor here for years.
Yes, how many years? Do you remember?
24?
No, jeez, I wish. No, 16.
16.
Plus five
Seemed
is
like
counting.
24 though.
Seemed like forever, right? Susan was counting down the days, well, you know. No, but as far as the strategic plan, I guess that's where I'm
That's a good
going
idea.
with this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If part of the strategic plan could include outreach to people that may have lived here but still have somewhat of a connection.
So Joe is in charge of that.
We down for anything. But,
There's one other thing that we have to do. We forgot the corresponding secretary, so we could go back to that, I guess.
okay. And then the last thing is, do we have, because I noticed like that bookcase is, you know, in memory of, and I think we had some others.
We have Jean Keane in memory of. We put in her the mystery books. We put a sticker in there for memory of.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll do something like that. We have a memory of out here for
Sullivan.
Mr. Sullivan, who always took out videos,
Mhm.
and then they came and wrote us a check for $1,000.
Wow.
So we put that whole video section there for him,
The
and
book
board
drop?
videos. The book drop was from Vivian Vance.
But they also did, Vivian Vance. What is this version of
No,
that?
Vivian.
It's something like Vivian, I can't think of her last name.
We
We
have
always
got-
joked, we always called her Vivian Vance.
But what they did there, which was somewhat successful too, they came up with a list of things that they needed, the school did. And they said, would you like to be a sponsor of and do
Kind
a
of like a
memory
registry?
of?
You guys are trying to get
It's a registry, but it
cheers,
also,
right?
it was
Your
a tangible,
auditorium?
yeah, like a
Yeah,
registry, yeah,
Like
yeah.
a bridal or baby registry. You can do
And
a
then they would
library
have-
registry.
Right.
Honey Fund.
Yeah,
What?
there you go.
Well, now they have a honey, because I'm in the
Yeah.
midst of all this, they have a honeymoon fund. It's called Honey Fund, so you
Honey
can
funds.
actually buy things for people's honeymoon.
Yeah,
So
that's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea.
A registry for the library.
Yeah, and we could put it online, but I wouldn't know how to begin
Yeah, I'll
to
ask
do
them how
that.
they did it over
Okay,
there.
that's cool. You're gonna be
Really
responsible.
good idea.
Am I gonna be, you're responsible, did you say? Yes, you're right. You're responsible.
Thank you.
Can I-
Okay.
Laura, can I
Laura,
interject
beautiful
one?
job.
Thank you,
But
Laura.
I'm not
really
on the
nice.
board, I don't know whether I'm supposed to speak now or not. But
No.
You could wait for the public portion.
The public portion is next, by the way.
well,
All right.
this
How
has
convenient.
something to do with what you're
Oh,
talking
no,
about.
you could, absolutely.
I've been in contact with several Friends of the Library group in Mountainside, Elizabeth,
Mhm.
Westfield, Scotts Plains,
Mhm.
and I've talked to several people there, and what they've been able to do with the Friends, it's against the Friends to take over part of the budget of the library.
Mhm.
But what the Friends have been able to do is supplement the library functions by purchasing, entertainment
Mhm.
and other, like we do on a small scale. And what they had was, when the Friends first started their group, the board of trustees of those libraries and the town actually promoted the Friends of the Library, and they started getting people coming in. So now they have fairly large groups in the Friends,
Mhm.
and they've been able to bring in quite a bit of money. So they actually have been able to pay for a lot of things to supplement the library that you
Right.
can't say, let's do it with the library funds.
Mhm.
So it's just another way of doing it.
Sure. Good.
Before we go into public portion, I just wanted to, I forgot a couple things. I didn't mention it in the actual plan that I have outlined here, but I'd like to somehow incorporate a few different types of other plans, which would be like subcommittees or ad hoc if we could. One being an evaluation plan, which would be, and that might go under personnel committee, but not only staff but the board. Our resources, I know I was talking to Debbie about our inventory and how they do that. And they usually do that every so often as books are checked out or as they notice that books are missing. But I'd like to do that on an annual basis or
We do
as
that.
needed. Okay, we do that.
Well, yeah, because we're part of LMXIC,
Mhm.
and they send us a record every year of everything we have.
Okay, so if we can continue that, that would also go into the evaluation plan. And then something else that they brought up at the conferences that I went to is that when, and Susan and Ellen, you do an excellent job with all the charts and the statistics with our children's department and our children's report and the director's report with circulation and everything. But they said that numbers aren't enough anymore and it needs to be justified. So in addition to numbers, and I think that we always get a great turnout, we need to justify doing our events a little bit more, and I thought of a couple ideas that we used to do at the college for different student development events, like having an exit poll or a quick survey for people that attended, to just maybe 3 questions that say, did you like this event, would you recommend it, what do you suggest or recommend otherwise, and what would you like to see in the future. And then you can have an open comment portion for anything else that they'd like to do, and that's another great way to get feedback from our patrons. And also I'd like to see if we can evaluate the events as a staff and as a board to say, oh, well, when you do your report, maybe we can, this is just an idea, we don't have to do it. But when you do your report and you talk about the different events, maybe go over with the staff beforehand what worked well with the events, what you might have done differently, and would you do it again in the future, and kind of lay that out for us a little bit just so that we can get an idea. Because I know that some of us try to get to the events and maybe we can't, and we want to not only get an idea of what it was about, but see if we can do something like that in the future. Also a technology plan, as you talked about, we need new computers soon, and that kind of ties into our mission statement that stands right now, which is kind of evolving with the times, and technology is always changing. We have our Kindles now, which is great, and that's something that people like, people want. So if we can continue doing something like that, again, I think we would need a committee to really outline that. Not in time for our budget to be done, but if we can consider that when doing the budget. When I was also going over the mission and vision, I couldn't really tie it in very well tastefully, but I wanted to do something where we focus on the educational aspect as well as like a traditional library. I know that our town, a lot of the people that have lived here for so many years and the people that live here now like tradition, and they don't like that things are being changed. And I wanted to see if we can work that in somehow on how we've been a traditional institution. And if you guys have any ideas about that, or if you don't like that and you don't want to see that, then I'd be interested in hearing that as well. Otherwise, I'm done talking for the night. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good job.
All right, we've come to the public portion of our meeting. Can I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Everybody sign?
Okay.
All right. The forum's open for the public.
Jacob McGarrett, 6 12 Sheridan Avenue, Roselle Park. This question is for Ms. Hahn. Would your suggestions, which are good, and the feedback from Paul was also well taken, would that require additional employees?
I don't think so. I think we would work within our means.
Yeah, because I know Paul mentioned something about Scotch Plains and the other towns, they have a lot of volunteers. Did anybody check the bills? I have a fixation with this gas bill. The energy saver furnace that we have here, that was changed. It was $132 in October, $256 in November, and then it jumped $184 for December. That's about a 40% increase. Do you have a copy of last year's bills to check with the?
Sure.
Yeah, when you get it. And also, remind us in the actual balance column of $29,558.76. We are short
Well, really, it's 10,000.
10,000.
Because we didn't put in, that's not including the state aid, the money, the income we make, and what's the other thing? Income, state aid.
The gifts, right?
No, that's separate.
I think that was it.
And, yeah, those two things.
Who's going to make that up?
Who's going to make it up? It
As
comes
mentioned in
to-
last year's presentation of the budget, if you recall, we anticipated using the existing surplus that the library had in its fund balance to balance the 2011 budget.
And that's what Councilman Cassius mentioned last night. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, so.
Sorry. Salt Cares 150 Berwyn Street. I was listening to part of the thing. I guess I have questions and comments. The first question was, you had said we needed new computers.
Well, I didn't say we need them now, but within 5 years, we're probably going to need new computers. Some of them are already starting to get a little worn.
Worn as in, I'm just.
Well, they're used constantly.
If they're computers. There's computers that, I would recommend that a evaluation be done.
Good,
Of the equipment
evaluate.
to see, because from my understanding, the majority of people who use the computers in the library use them for the internet, email, or other such internet connectivity, which really doesn't require a lot of hardware. I mean, I don't know if they use Excel or Word, and even if they do, those aren't really resource-intensive units. So I think first an evaluation should be done to see if there could be a savings through either upgrading of RAM, processor cleaning up, stuff like that.
Great, I'm
because
all
again,
for it.
the majority of people are internet. Anyone who's got a phone has much less power than that, and they can go on the internet. So that would be one recommendation. I guess there was discussion of the holidays. Is the day after Christmas, the day after Thanksgiving, taken off at the library? Is that also done in the, is that per contract, is that per state law, or is that per custom?
It's contract. That's union contract with the town, and we go by that.
So if that's changed in the union contract negotiation, that would be changed in the library as well?
Not
correct?
necessarily. It would
Okay.
be up to the board to decide.
If
they
you're
want
serving
to.
the public, and most people have the day after Thanksgiving off, and that would be a good day for them to go to the library should be open.
But let me tell you, historically, Thanksgiving weekend, nobody comes to the library. So
Historic-
why have the employees here, have to pay them the whole bit, if we're worried about being budget conscious, to be open when you're going to have 3 people come in?
Because historically, we don't want to have a community that, for a big portion of them celebrate Thanksgiving, or the day after Thanksgiving. So for them, it's
Not true.
really?
Yeah, a large group that celebrates Thanksgiving.
I said it's not the same as it was traditionally. It's changed. The makeup of the community has changed. Again,
They
if it's
still
a
don't
s-
come out on Thanksgiving, or the day before Thanksgiving to the
How do we know that
library.
if the library is closed?
Well, the day before, we're not closed, they were here. They're not here.
But
That
the
week
after,
is
when there's nobody
historic.
here, how can you go, well, we're closed? But again, it's contract negotiations, and I guess that should be considered. As an entity, that's a government entity, I guess, or a public entity, consideration should be given to have all board members have a email address either through the municipality or the library, because discussion of money is talked about, and if I'm not mistaken, library communications would be operable. So it'd be good to review that, maybe put that in the plan to incorporate that.
And just following up on what Saul says, the LXMAC, do you have an email account through them? Do the employees in the library have accounts through them?
Everything is done through them.
All right. Now I wonder if we could attach board members like we have on the Board of Education,
Yeah, sure.
you know, if we could look into that. Okay, so, thank you.
With regard to the strategic plan, Ms. Hahn, did you do actual SWOT analysis?
Yes.
You discussed that. Could you provide that, or maybe at some point to see
Sure.
with
Once
the draft?
Yes, once everything is done, and we have our final, and I know this is your time, I just wanted to answer really quick. Once everything is done and we have a final strategic plan that we'd like to present to the board, I'm going to have an entire packet, like an entire full document done with all of the information that I collected, and then the president's supposed to write a little letter, and I'm supposed to write a little write-up of how the process was done. So it'll be included in there.
But maybe this ought to be done before then, so the public and people who you want to get involved with
I'll
see
share
the
that.
weaknesses and the strengths and all.
Sure.
Well, per statute, I guess you had spoken that there were some members' attendance per statute. Is there any statute that says there has to be a certain number of members? for the
No,
board?
there's not a certain number, but you have to have you have to be here for 4 consecutive meetings. Like if you miss 4 consecutive meetings,
But there's no statute that determines if there's 9 or 7.
no, I don't think so. I'll look it up. I'm not sure
Okay.
exactly, because some boards have 9, some have 7, and some have 12. So it's all, I think it all depends on what your own town wants.
Right, we're a one-screw town. I don't think we have as many as 9. Is there even more than
But it's
that?
nice to have extras because then you have a lot of people who are helping out.
Well, that goes to the point that you had spoken of, that you would like more involved members, so if there's less members who want to be involved in that, that also is another question, I guess, to find out if in the plan there's actual, I don't know the word for it, but a policy maybe to find out if board members actually patronize the library. Because if it's money that's being spoken about, and we have people, and just as my wife and I, we don't use the library because we don't have to. But that's fine, but maybe at the other end, you have people who always patronize the library, so you can get that point of view as well. I don't know if the current members patronize the library on a regular basis, but that would be good too.
But if I may help with a response, previously we've had that, historically we had full body of board members that patronize the library a lot.
Yes. And now it's gone to the other extreme, it seems. So maybe we could have it done.
So I think it's a fair assessment to say that we're trying both ends to see which ones either work best or the pros and cons for both.
Well, as in with moderation, I
I don't-
believe, maybe, you know, so both at the same time would be a good policy to follow.
I think as long as, regardless of whether you come to the library every day or no days, as long as you have an interest in the library board and the programs that are involved here, as well as the dollars that are spent, I think all those issues have to be taken under consideration, not just going to the library every day or 75% of the time or whatever.
Right, but again, you would get a good grasp of understanding of the money if you're here to partake of it, because then you would say, oh, this is my point of view, or this is my scene of things. So like you said, you're absolutely correct. When I first came here, it was a club of the Library Patrons Club. Now it's the club of the non-library patrons club.
Well, that's actually not a
That's
fair
not true.
assessment, because Laura attends not only events here, but she was a former volunteer of the library. And
Still use it.
had you known Laura before she was a member of the library board, she used to attend meetings, and he was very outspoken at one point. Alex has been a board member for many years on this library board.
I come here once
I've
a
served
year.
as mayor for many years and been more active, as you probably know, over the last couple of years, being involved with the library and even attended even more library. So to say that we've gone to the extreme, I think that's probably another
But
fair
it's true.
assessment. And then with Liz, I mean, you've been more active now because you are part of the board. So it's actually starting to blend nicely, I think, my opinion.
But
And
mine
we
is
have a
not.
lot of children's programs, to say you don't need the library, I don't know what you mean by that. You know, everybody needs a nice library in their
I
town,
don't
because
believe
there's
I
always
said that.
activities, there's,
Did I say that?
yeah,
No,
you said
he
you don't
meant
need
that
it.
We don't, personally, he's.
Liz and I don't need the library. We don't. We
But-
have the luxury to have enough revenue to go out and purchase a book.
Right,
purpose of
but
a
it's-
library is to-
But it's good for the children to
Oh.
come for library programs.
But the
and that
purpose
kind
of
thing.
a library is to be free, so everyone can have knowledge as the currency.
Right.
And but like you had stated, although those are great examples, I mean, to have Alex say I go every once in a while. I mean, again, we had people who lived here in the library who were on the board, and now we don't have people who do that. That's the one example. We had Andrew, the previous president, who openly said he didn't use it. I mean, I don't know how often, and but again, that's
Actually, I found Andrew to be more active with the library while he was a board member than many of the library board members, or several of the library board members in the past that patronized it, but didn't get as intricately involved as Andrew did,
right.
especially with the budget.
But again, That's, again, there's a different point of view coming from, like. you and
I hear what you're saying,
Right.
but I just want to point out what I feel is just as important with the board members that are currently in these seats, as well as some of the past ones like Andrew that just left, that I think had he not been appointed to the board, probably wouldn't have used the library, but now being someone that has sat here has a better understanding and a better reflection of the library than if he never served at all.
Right, but to get to patronize the library, to use its purposes for the books, for the computers, for the magazines, I don't think that will be, maybe the events, perhaps the special, things that are done with the Friends of the Library, but I don't believe the purpose of the library would change for Andrew, nor should it. But again, we're speaking of what we said, maybe have the moderation of both. So you can have both ends discussed. No one remembers all this. Oh, and last year I had discussed, and I believe the mayor had stated there's about a $28,000 shortfall, or I don't know the wording, but
A drop in the statutory requirement.
right. So, with that stated, last year I had made the recommendation to no longer have a paid secretary and have a member of the board be a secretary and do that, and save $1,400, which with $28,000 is 5%. Again, it should be reconsidered. Last year there was a resolution that was passed. There's been one passed this year. I would ask again that the board consider that, keeping with fiscal responsibility. Oh, and the name was Vivian Hulse. That's the woman who donated the bill. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hearing no one else, we'll close the public portion. Now, we did not vote for a position of correspondence secretary. So, can I hear any nominations on the floor for correspondence secretary for this year?
Did you serve that? That was Laura? Okay.
I was vice president.
Okay.
I was secretary the year before,
Okay.
but I'm good with Laura. Laura's good. She's the last one left.
Good try.
I got it.
Second,
Poor
second
thing,
that.
she's stuck.
Okay, roll call, please.
Joe Corey,
Abstain.
Alex Balaban.
Yes.
Mary Christensen.
Yes.
Joe Diorio.
Yes.
Laura Hahn.
Yes.
Elizabeth Pearson.
Yes.
And if I may, Mr. President, as part of older unfinished business, I do have the current Elizabethtown gas bill, and the number of therms that were used this year in comparison to last year actually dropped fairly significantly. However, the average daily temperature this year was 42 degrees, last year was 33 degrees for the same time period. So
it was warm, yeah.
It was warmer this year.
it was warmer this year, but we used less. So
That's right.
could you say that it's having an impact? Possibly, but then you have to consider the weather.
Mm-hmm.
So just
Thank
for the
you.
record.
Thank you. Any old business
I just-
other than that?
I have one thing.
Okay.
I guess it could be considered old business. When we had the issue with the middle school students outside, and skateboarding and everything, I know that the skateboarding has desisted.
Ceased.
Cease and desist.
Has ceased
And
since
desisted.
ceased since the last time we spoke of it. Do we have a sign out there that says no skateboarding? I thought we
Yes.
were going to work on
Yes.
that.
People sign up, but I also spoke to the kids.
Okay.
And, they're certainly not troublemakers, great kids, the kids that are out there, and I really mean that, and they wanted to work with us. They're looking for the locations where they can do their skateboarding,
Okay.
and they agreed to not cause problems for the library patrons. And they understood the safety issues, that's really what they focused on.
In addition to that, people who are not on skateboards, I've noticed, because I come to pick up my sister almost every day, there
in the trees.
students climbing the trees, standing right in front of the door all together so that people
Well,
can't
we
come in or
push them
out.
away
I know.
when we do see them there.
And
But
I-
you know, as far as the trees in the park, it's a park. I don't think we're responsible for that.
I know.
I tell them to get off the trees, but I'm not going to be out there all day long telling them.
And I
that.
find them also running behind
I know.
the building and into
Terrible.
the parking lot, and some of them sitting on, what is that, the air conditioning belts
Mhm.
out there. And I, again, this comes from speaking with a bunch of the staff members here for the strategic plan, but also there are concerns about it too. And I know that our staff does a great job making sure that their kids are safe and that they're behaving for the most part, so that we are able to attract more patrons. But there are some students that I've heard still use bad language and still doing inappropriate things, even in the library, and that we sometimes have to kick them out. And something that I wanted to also explore in the strategic plan, and also talking with the staff and some of the kids, is how we can correct that. But I'm not sure exactly how to go about that, because it just seems like the kids want a place to hang out, and unfortunately the library is not the place where you can be as loud as you want and talk on your cell phone and take pictures and do other things that I am not going to mention. So I'm wondering if anybody has any ideas on how to correct that, or if there's something that we can do.
If you do, then any library in the world would want to hear it.
I know.
Because every library has a problem, and believe me, there are some big problems. We have no problems
Okay,
with the
that's
kids.
good to hear.
Elizabeth,
It's comforting to hear, but
And keep in mind also that this is truly the middle of Roselle Park,
Right.
so you
Right.
get kids from all ends of town
Yeah.
congregating here. And I really mean this. When I walk down the street, I've heard all kinds of complaints about the kids and all, but I've actually found it refreshing sometimes to see the kids sitting over there playing, running around. Maybe I don't like them jumping in trees, but
Right.
kids will be kids.
of course.
And dealing with the skateboard situation, it really turned out to be a joy. I mean, the kids call me up occasionally and friended me on Facebook, and they send me messages on Facebook. They're good kids. They really
And they
are.
do take out books. So, I mean, even though, and you know what, they're troublemakers to some degree, but they're not horrible kids.
Okay.
So,
I didn't say that. I was just wondering.
no, I know,
if-
yeah, I'm just saying that, and they will listen when you throw them out.
Okay.
And they're back
You
the
physically
next,
pick them up and throw them out.
they're back the next day, but you know what, they go.
Memory.
You know, all you have to do is say, you know, I have your parents' phone numbers. And, oh, cool. And they're like, all right, and they leave.
Well, in my experience, your best advertisement for the library is Kit Rubino. When she goes out there and she talks to the kids, they love her.
Yeah.
They love her. She thinks she's great.
That's great.
I can have the librarians in all the schools, just, maybe a little 5-minute reminder of appropriate behavior in the library,
Thank you.
things like that.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be good.
Once the nice weather is, they'll all come down to Sherman, so you won't have to worry.
I know, I live down there, I
They'll be
hang all over
skateboarding
there.
off the steps.
But even
there.
that, I leave, they're sitting there, I said, I'm expecting you to watch my school for me, no permanent markers and no gum, and we're good. And they're pretty good. They do, they're looking for something
What-
to hang on.
To a certain degree, it's a sign of success, so that's something you can put in your report. It is a sign of success because the kids are drawn to the library.
One issue I just want to bring up is the start time of 7 p.m. Is that convenient for everybody? Do you want to maybe make it 7:15? Would that be better for folks overall coming from work
It used to be
later?
7:30, remember?
Yeah, I'm fine with 7.
7 is fine? Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, the next meeting is February 15th, 7 p.m. here at the library.
Were you read?
And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Everybody say aye.
Aye.
We're good.
All right, thank you.
February
Yes.
15th is
Oh,
the meeting.
Mayor?
Yeah.
What did you do?